Welcome back to Cheddar's News Wrap, everyone. Sales of sports-related NFTs topped $2.8 million in the last 10 days. That's according to nonfungible.com. The startup Ownr is launching a full-service agency and distribution network to help athletes create, manage, and sell their unique tokens. And here to discuss is Kenneth Kuo, CEO of Ownr, and NFL linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cassius Marsh, who serves as Ownr's Vice President of Player Relations. Thank you both for joining us. This is my favorite story to talk about recently. Kenneth, I want to start with you. Tell us more about Ownr and what the agency is providing to clients.
Yeah, for sure. So really, I think the inception of the company came from my basically like my big brother. His name is Greg Toller. He played in the league for 9 years, and basically what I was seeing in the market was, his likeness was constantly getting used, and he wasn't getting properly compensated for it, right? They're using it in ad promotions and make drawings of his face and auction that off for charity, and he would never, first of all, he didn't even know that this was happening, and then second, he wasn't getting properly compensated, and so, I really thought about a way that I could just help him and sort of allow more for the democratization of being able to own your likeness and license it out and actually make money off of it. And so that was where Ownr first started, right? And so I've been in sort of the blockchain space for a while now, and a couple of my good friends and I, we just got together and we created a platform and we have a really talented set of artists, illustrators, animators that are working with us. And so, as you were saying, this is truly a full service agency, right? So we can, we obviously have our own smart contracts, and then we have our own platform to sell it on. And then we work personally with each and every individual athlete to identify what their interests are and then to create more unique NFTs for them, right? Because you're seeing sort of this market become really frothy with a lot of chaff, right? And people just putting their names on things that they might not necessarily know a ton about. And so we really try to bring that white glove service to create sort of a holistic piece of art for them.
Look, and I think it's really important because as this space has gotten some excitement around it, we've seen a lot of NFTs out there, to your point, that don't necessarily attribute the proper credit to the creator of the original work. But I want to switch gears to Cassius. So how did you get involved in the project and in the new platform?
Yeah, so I was actually connected through a good friend of mine, Chuck Figueroa. We went to college together at UCLA. And, we've stayed in contact over the years, and I'm in a space of trading cards, and NFTs are basically trading cards, but digital. So I think that he saw my knowledge of that industry and put me and Kenneth together, and we had one really, fantastic conversation and just figured out that we, could do a lot of things together and help build Ownr to, being a great NFT company.
Kenneth, you're definitely a first mover in this space, but what do you think sets you apart from other platforms that we're seeing emerging?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is our focus on highly curated drops, right? And that we work specifically with athletes on. I think the second thing is the roster of talent that we have. So, elite level, really high level athletes that want to engage with their fans in a different way, right? And so I think a lot of where we get that direction from is obviously from my network, Chuck's network, and then when we found when we got connected to Cassius, I think, and he said this a few times, like it just felt like our brains were connected, right? Because he's super into the collectible space, and I felt like we just really wanted to capitalize on that particular aspect of his interests for Ownr for this launch. And I think Cassius can speak to this more. It's about showing, I guess, the fans and engaging the fans in a different way, giving them more insight and access to the athlete's personal interests outside of the field of athletics, right? Because there's so much more to them than just being an athlete. And I think Cassius could definitely talk more about that.
Yeah, and Cassius, so you are, as we mentioned, heading up player relations for Ownr. Who are some of the other athletes who are excited to get into the space and working with the agency?
Well, we'd love to name drop, but like until we get to the point where we announce it, we have to keep that to ourselves. But I have a large network. Obviously, I've been in the league for a long time, and a lot of good friends of mine have reached out, and I've reached out to a lot of good friends of mine in the league, and everybody's trying to touch this NFT space, obviously because of how successful it's been and how popular it's becoming. And so we definitely have a long list of guys who are in the works and becoming a part of Ownr. And we definitely really look forward to announcing all of those guys and, getting everybody in the loop.
Okay, so as soon as you announce them, you're going to come back on with us and tell us who those are. Kenneth, really quickly, before we let you guys go, what do you see as the biggest challenges in dominating the NFT space when it comes specifically to athlete related material?
Yeah, so I think the thing that we always try to think about is what's going to pique the athlete's interest. How are we going to get them to work with us, because their time is so limited, right? And so I think that really is sort of the biggest challenge, which is access to the athletes, and finally, they're busy humans, right? They have full-time jobs. Like being an athlete is over 24-hour job a day, right? And so getting them to break off the mind space to be able to speak with us and sort of gather their team and talk with us, I think that's a major challenge. One of the ways I think that we're addressing this, I think the ethos of the company is very much a give back ethos, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm obviously Asian, as you can tell. A lot of the things that we do, we plan on donating a good amount of the proceeds to Stop Asian Hate organizations. Cassius is incredibly socially driven, as are all of our business partners. So Chuck Figueroa, Kuo Fan, Adam, and Echo as well. So our whole team is really into social and racial justice and change, and I think that's one of our competitive advantages, where we can come to the athlete and say, hey, we care about this, and we guarantee that a large amount of the proceeds from our cut, not from the athlete's cut, will be donated directly to these organizations.
That is awesome. Love to hear that. That's Kenneth Kuo, CEO of Ownr, and NFL linebacker Cassius Marsh, Ownr's Vice President of Player Relations. Thank you both for joining us.